Good old Craig.
Uh-huh.
I'm ready to go when you are.
I guess. Hopefully, my headset's not gonna act up on me. And the weather was storming earlier, so hopefully my internet doesn't go out.
Oh, damn. Okay,
Yeah.
well.
Welcome to the Tiger Nexus Podcast, a place where you'll find interviews with content creators and geeks alike. Your host, Ty Tiger, has delved upon the Nexus and found interesting content creators and geeks of all fandoms. This podcast is connected to the Zero Hero Network. And now we dive in with another episode!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tiger Nexus podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Ty Tiger, and we're finally back with another movie dumpster dive. That means, of course, I'm joined by its co-host, Ben Baker. Hello, Ben. How are you, bro?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a hot second since we've had any form of conversation. So, how is life? How's the family?
I guess same old, just me and my daughter having fun, living the good life. Living our best life over here in Arkansas. So,
Awesome. So today's movie was your pick. So everyone can blame you for this one. And we are talking about the 2011's Green Lantern, where the star of the show is Ryan Reynolds himself. Because it's your pick, I'll allow you to kind of explain why you picked this movie. And are you, is this like a favorite film of yours? Is this a film that you kind of like dig and everyone else hates, kind of thing?
Yeah, so I have to preface this with when I saw it in 2011, I thought it was pretty good. I don't understand all the hate. I watched it again last night, although I will have to say, I tried to watch all of it, and I was tired, and I think I may have missed the last 15 minutes, so you might have to refresh me on the last 15 minutes of the movie, because I don't know how it ended. I just woke up, and the credits were rolling, and I was too tired to rewind it and redo it, but so it has been 14 years since I've seen it, but it's still not a bad movie. Now, it's not good. It's not as good as I remembered it, I guess, back in 2011. But at the same time, I still don't understand a lot of the hate that this movie gets. But that's kind of where I stand with it, since this is a movie dumpster dive. The original concept was movies that I like that people hate. So I dive in other people's dumpsters for movies for myself. So, but it's not bad. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's just a run-of-the-mill superhero movie, which is kind of weird with the track record that the director has to making good action movies. It felt like it could have been better, but it's not bad. It's in the okay realm of superhero movies.
So I first watched this pretty much as soon as it became available to watch, via Blu-ray, DVD, streaming, whatever the case may be. So call it 2012 then, I guess. And I haven't watched it since. I've only ever watched this film once. I watched this a second time as of recording this video this morning. This morning. So like your 4 a.m. I was watching Green Lantern. And honestly, I kind of had the opposite effect. This was actually better than I remembered. Obviously I was, so 2012, we're talking 13 years ago, so I'm 13, almost 14, so I had
me feel old.
Yep, I had innocent, like, young teen mindset. So I didn't really think much of it, and my negativity towards this movie, I guess, just kind of grew with society. I guess I fell into that pit. But honestly, rewatching this, it's not fantastic. I will say it's not. It's not the bee's knees. It's not the best movie of all time for nowhere near. But is it diabolically horrible and unwatchable? God no. I have like two major gripes with this film, and I think one of them can be excused due to budgeting and CGI. But literally, it. I wasn't bored. Ryan Reynolds is still a pleasure, even back in 2011. He is Ryan Reynolds. You can tell it's Ryan Reynolds. He can't help but be witty and sarcastic and entertaining. He can't help but be that character. So it did seem like sometimes we were watching not two different characters, but like I don't know. It's just sometimes you have this nice wholesome person who's always running away from life, who's always scared. He literally says in the film that he's terrified, and then every now and then Ryan Reynolds kind of broke through that and was witty and sarcastic and funny, and I guess what kind of made him Deadpool and Detective Pikachu and all those roles. But yeah, it's not a terrible movie. I honestly was quite surprised.
Yeah, he's a little more like this one. It's his quirky Ryan Reynolds, but even though this is after Blade Trinity and he was kind of himself there, but I kind of feel like he took this a little more seriously than his other roles. It wasn't as funny, witty as the normal, unadulterated Ryan Reynolds.
I think it actually made me laugh more because he was serious more than he was funny. Like there's a bit in the film where his friend comes over and he's like, right, show me the suit, show me the power, and he's like, okay, well, ring and then finger, and he gives him the middle finger. I actually generally laughed out loud today watching that because I wasn't expecting it. When you watch Deadpool or Detective Pikachu or whatever else he's been in the last 5 to 10 years, you know who Ryan Reynolds is. You know those sort of jokes are going to come, but like because he's trying to play a more heartfelt character, they were a bit more unexpected, and I actually generally found some of the scenes like rather amusing because I wasn't expecting it. So my two gripes is I don't mind the CGI. A lot of people seem to bitch about
I really think it's one of those things where I think people are complaining about CGI just because it is like, of course it's CGI and it's not the best, but you're talking about bright green fluorescent suits. You can't make that look real in CG, and it's not like Iron Man suit or any of that, and it's much better than the Flash. So yeah, I do think that gripe's a little like expected more than
it's ridiculous. The suits don't look too bad, but also the CGI is in the constructs. They had to CGI Parallax. They had to CGI aliens, and things like this. So like, I can rock with the suits. They didn't look too bad. I do like the whole glowing aspect they had in certain parts of the chest, like it like kind of illuminated from the logo. That was kind of cool. That was a nice idea. I like that. I think my only gripe with the CGI is the masks in some scenes. There's some scenes where the mask just looks so off-putting. And like the suit looks great, you can see the ring on his finger. He's floating and he's doing all this cool, but his mask it takes up so much attention.
And I think
that's
the only reason they even have I understand in the comics he has a mask, but like the first 3 or 4 times he has a suit, he doesn't have the mask. The first time you see the mask is when he's trying to, when he meets up with Blake Lively's character and he's trying to hide himself, which it doesn't make sense to me that she waits till she's close to him to realize it's him when you can clearly tell it's him with the mask on. But yeah, the mask it's a little, because I think they CG his eyes or something too. There's something off-putting about it.
Yeah, they make his eyes glow quite a few times. When he first puts on the suit, he accidentally hits the ring against the battery. There's a spark. He falls back, and like it's almost like that connection downloaded the information to his brain. And as he's reciting the oath, his eyes change to a green.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't mind that. What's off-putting is the shade of green they used. One is extremely unnatural, but two, it doesn't match any other green.
Mm-mm.
The shade of green is completely different to everything else that is green with the Green Lanterns. The battery, the ring, the suit, everything. And it's just like, why? Because yes, okay, they wanted to make sure the eyes popped out. I get that. But there's other shades of green,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they did that a few times. They made his eyes go green. It was just really strange. But yeah, the mask is just a little bit off-putting sometimes. I didn't mind the suit. I do like the look of the constructs, actually. I'm not going to lie, the constructs didn't look too bad. I like that we got a nice variety of constructs as well, because that's the whole point of the Green Lanterns, obviously, is to, with their own willpower, they can make whatever they imagine. So we got a nice, hefty amount of different constructs and stuff. I didn't mind that. But yeah, my other gripe is there is no build up to the end credit scene.
I think that's why that I felt like I missed a whole lot whenever I went to the credits. And like from where I was for when I fell asleep, I'm pretty sure there's maybe 15 minutes in there. So I kind of, so maybe it was just super rushed. But I also feel, and I think this is probably more of a issue of the time with comic book movies, where you had to put so much time to build up like him learning his powers and blah 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 blah. So then it kind of eats up that runtime to where you kind of have to rush things at the end. And I think that's where a lot of the movie kind of falls apart. Like those scenes are cool and everything, but in my opinion, if the Green Lantern or the ring or whatever gave him the knowledge of so much things, then why couldn't it be like the Power Rangers, where whenever they became Power Rangers, they already knew how to do all this stuff? So that way you can build up more of the villain and other story elements. But it's kind of a product of its time where they had to, you got to learn how to fly, you got to learn how to do this. So
Yeah, I would have separated the two little stories they had, because even if they didn't do the whole like information download, the ring can talk. The ring has a bit. Yeah, well, in the comic books, you can ask the ring questions, and it's kind of like having a universal powered fucking Siri, on your finger. So I would have done that. I would have taken away Oa, taken away the aliens for just this movie, allowed Hal to build his character, allow him to learn, and then that end credit scene be Kilowog, Sinestro, and whatever the fuck the fish dude's called, turn up and go, Hal, you've been given Abinsur's ring. It's time you come to Oa. And then maybe do a second movie, and that's where you could work on the Green Lantern Corps and have Sinestro become yellow. And yeah, it's just the Green Lanterns themselves, take away Hal obviously, but the other Green Lanterns definitely do get pushed to one side.
And they might be the best part of the movie.
I really enjoy Kilowog. I don't care what anyone says. Kilowog is a dream. I love Kilowog.
Is that the big one?
Yeah, the big bulky dude. Yeah, he fucks with him. Yeah, his combat trainer. So he's just an absolute like awesome character, and he's like, just headstrong and funny, and he's done really well in this film. I really enjoyed his portrayal in this film. I think they did a good job with him. Just like little things, like right at the end when Sinestro's like, if it wasn't for you, Hal, we wouldn't have defeated Parallax, and Killer just smacks him in the back, and Hal's like, ow. Just little things like that just makes Killer great.
Yeah. Which isn't he? I kind of felt like he was played by Michael Clark Duncan, but I'm looking at the thing and I don't even see him on here.
Uh, hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking on IMDb and it's not showing most of the Green Lanterns on here. Okay, yeah, it is
So
never mind. It's Michael Clark Duncan. That's what I
yeah,
thought. That might be one of his last movies he did.
yeah. But yeah, he just did a really good job at the role.
Mhm.
I like the way he looks as well. He does look like Kilowog. I'm glad about that. Sinestro looks a bit odd in some scenes. I don't know if it's just like the way they put him into some of the scenes, because obviously every time we see Sinestro, it's CGI background, it's other CGI characters and etc. etc. I don't know if it's just the way they edited it. Not too sure, but he definitely does look a bit. I don't know. He just looks a bit out of place in some scenes. But I'm not blaming Sinestro's CGI. I'm blaming the background. Maybe I'm not entirely sure, but he does just look a bit.
Unless they didn't do any makeup and even his face and coloring and all that is
Yeah, that's very true.
CG'd in. But the way I see it, like when CG, there's a whole bunch of CG, as long as I can kind of make out what's going on and it's not overtly video game looking, it's fine. And I think most issue with CGI is the cinematography rather than like the actual CGI. But
Mm.
yeah, I've seen a video once. It was a film school video or film whatever, and they were talking about how CG is not bad. It's just the way it looks, and they were showing scenes from Jurassic World where the CG wasn't like the greatest with the dinosaurs, but then they filtered it with a more cinematic filter, and then the dinosaurs actually looked a little more real and less CG. So a lot of it is just the way they make the movies look. And I don't know why movies like this keep on making movies like this look like that. So
Because people are goddamn lazy.
I know. Well, the weird thing is the director of this movie, he directed GoldenEye. He did Casino Royale, Foreigner with Jackie Chan, The Protege. He's made some good action movies that looked really good. And then he made this one, which, CG's not as bad as people say, but at the same time, it's a little too shiny looking, digital looking,
Yeah. So, other than obviously Hal's storyline, we obviously have this plot with Hector. He's a bit of a genius. He's a bit of an outcast, and obviously he's the person who does the autopsy on Abin Sur, and he gets infected. I guess is the right word. And he becomes Parallax's little minion. I do not like the way he looks by the end. It looks so ugly. That's not too much just the way they did it, the way that he made him look. I understand why they did it. They wanted him to, a human to resemble Parallax. That's why they made his head big and everything. It just looks terrifyingly ugly. I didn't mind him. This is why I'm saying that maybe they should have separated the two storylines. Keep Parallax for maybe the second movie, because I want to know more about Hector. That's the issue. I want to learn more.
Yeah, I don't think they fleshed it out well enough.
Because he had the ability to learn things. He touched Amanda Waller, touched him, and he learned all about Amanda Waller in a split second. Which, by the way, I completely forgot Amanda Waller's in this film.
I did as well when I saw her Waller. I'm like, oh wait, is that the same one? And I'm like, oh.
I didn't even going into this film. I knew that who Hector would be, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna be the bad guy. I remember this now. And then this woman walks in. She's like, oh yeah, I'm Amanda Waller. I was like, hang on a minute, you're Amanda Waller? I was like, they put her in it. She was live action before Suicide Squad. Who knew? What a strange character to put in as well. Really interesting. But yeah, the Hector storyline, I didn't mind it. I thought it was interesting. I do like the fact that, you know, we do get little snippets of him growing resentment for his dad. You know, he starts like, I don't know if it's telepathy or if he's going nuts. That never actually got explained. Whether he's hearing their thoughts or whether he's just going insane, but you know, he starts hearing like his dad's voice saying that he's useless and pathetic and you know all this other crap. So like we see this build up, we understand why he's going after his dad. The when he turns against Hal, I feel that was a bit rushed because they literally see each other once. They talk for like not even 20 seconds, and then he gets obsessed with Carol, and then he now wants to get rid of Hal, obviously. But I didn't mind his end result, turning Carol into something like him. That is a good idea. I like his end game. I thought that was kind of cool. But it's just the whole jumping from dad to Carol was a bit of a jump.
Yeah, I kind of feel like because there was a lot of story with everything that he was kind of shoehorned. He wasn't not necessarily shoehorned because they established him when they were kids that like you can tell that he had something for Carol and it's going to come up later in the movie. But I feel like they brought him back in the adult time a little bit later than they should. And they probably should have centered more around him instead of Hal. Well, I guess you need Hal; he's the main guy. But you know, I don't know if they did the best job at like merging all their storylines together.
Yeah, that's where this film does kind of fall flat. You know,
Yeah.
there is some good scenes. Like I do like the scene
Oh yeah,
where huh?
I said yeah.
I do like the scene where Hal is trying to figure out the ring at the same time. You know, it's jumping between Hal and Hector, where Hector's doing the autopsy on Abin Sur, and he first touches this yellow stuff, and then obviously Hal first realizes how to work the ring. They do go back and forth. It like mirrors each other. I like that. I like stuff like that. That's cool. You know, I do like that. That's really cool. This is why, you know, in my opinion, we should have separated the two ideas because we could have had a whole movie where it jumped back and forth. We could have had Hal becoming the Green Lantern, Hector becoming obsessed, and then by the end of it, they have to go head to head. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Talking about Hector's dad. The cast for this movie, like it had a pretty decent cast as well.
Yeah, I didn't even
Which is
realize Taika
shocking.
Waititi was in there.
Yeah, honestly, I watched this film and I'm like, hang on. Something tells me I know who this actor is, but I could just be absolutely like shoeballing this. So then I checked. I was like, oh my god, no, it is
Yeah,
actually thingy. I was like, oh my days,
yeah.
completely mind blown. Yeah, I completely forgot that he was in it.
Well, from the get go, I'm like, wait, that guy sounds a lot like Django and Boba Fett. I'm like, oh, yep, it's Tamura Morrison, or however you say his name. And then, yeah, then Taika Waititi pops in there with a
Yep.
wannabe American accent. He needs to work on that. I'm sure he's had time to work on that, but I don't think he's done the American accent in any of his movies since. He just keeps his own whenever he's in a movie.
We've
But,
also got Tim Robbins as well. He's playing
yeah,
Senator Hammond. And then also, we also had Angela Bassett as Amanda Waller, who, if anyone doesn't know who she is the Queen of Wakanda in the Black Panther
yeah,
movies.
yep.
I also know her as one of the main characters in the 911 show, and I really love her role in that as well. She's really good in 911. But like, yeah, just it had a pretty well-rounded cast as well. I quite like the cast. I did.
Knock on the cast.
Hang on 1 second. You kind of broke up there for a second. What was it?
Sorry, you did as well. So I said the only thing I have kind of an issue in a cast is I do kind of feel like Blake Lively was miscast a little bit. Like to me, it just didn't feel more authentic to what that character is, where she's a pilot and she just to me just doesn't come off as that. But isn't this where her and Ryan Reynolds met before they got together?
Yes. I don't. Did they do any movies
So,
before Green Lantern? I don't
I
think.
don't know.
I'm not. I'm not entirely sure. But no, I kind of agree. I'm kind of glad you brought that up because I do kind of agree with that. To be absolutely honest with you, like she just seems a bit. I can't see this version of Hal, and then this version of a woman that they've kind of made a main character. It just doesn't seem like when there is no indication of them being together at all until
No, not really.
Hal's just like kind of left. Oh, well, he's come back to Earth, and they're talking, and they're in a bar, and Hal says, "Hey, this is the place we, first time we flew together." And I'm like, hang on, they fucked each other already? What the hell? Like it was so out of like way. It doesn't. When you've got two characters who you want to make in a romantic relationship by the end of the film, it's got to go in one of either direction. It's got to go down the direction of you're watching this thinking, oh my god, just get together already. Like, seriously, you're really good together, you're flirtatious together, you're made for each other, just get together. Why are you making us wait until the end of the movie to get together? Or it's the case of they're completely opposite to each other, but they work so well together, and you're sat there thinking to yourself, are they really going to put these two together? Because I don't see, and there you go, right, they're making out now, okay, cool, and with these two, it doesn't fit in either avenue. There's no
No.
build up or anything,
It's
I
kind
don't
of
know,
like
yeah, I
what's
agree.
gonna happen, but it just doesn't like they don't. Yeah, they just don't do anything to make it make sense or even like
Yeah,
yeah, like
it just
it
feels
just
a bit.
adds to the story. It's like they Jacksoned it where he puts in a love story for no reason.
Yeah, no, that's kind of true. Yeah, that it does just kind of feel a bit shoehorned in.
hmm
I
Like
I
it's gonna
did
happen. Like that's the thing because all these movies do that. But yeah,
I did like the fact that she grows a massive pair of bollocks near the end, and she does help out that one quick second. She runs to this console. She's typing away while Hal gets his life sucked out of him to trigger the jet to fire rockets at Parallax. So I was like, hey, that's a ballsy move. Fair fucks to you.
uh
That's cool. But yeah, other than that, yeah, she's a bit. And can I just say, her dad dies, and she does not seem phased whatsoever.
that was something I kind of had. Actually, there was twice. There was first was well, no, wait, when did her dad die? Was it? Who was her dad?
What? Or did he just get
Okay.
hospitalized?
Because I think Hammond's died, so like, because Hector killed his dad.
Yeah,
But
had to kill
even
his
that
dad.
regular relationship didn't really feel like a father son type of thing. Like I kept like thinking, wait, aren't they father son? That doesn't really feel like they're are, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just
uh the father son relationship. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. It does. It almost feels like mentor apprentice type relationship, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
That's what it feels
Yeah.
more like than a father son. But I don't know if that's the actor's fault or just there was so much stuff going on in the movie that they just yeah.
Talking about Daz, that is one also thing they dropped real quick as well. He throughout the first bit of the film before he gets the ring, he quite often has flashes of his dad's
Yeah.
accident when he dies, and then as soon as he's Green Lantern, that stops. He doesn't see him again. We
Yeah.
don't see him have flashbacks, and he just drops it. I know he's scared and the fear's there still, yeah. But like, there's no connection to the dad except for when he does finally admit that he's scared. Carol does say, that your dad was courageous and he was willing to admit when he was scared. That's what made your dad such a, be like your dad basically. And I did like that. I thought that was cool. I like the fact that she uses that sort of like analogy, it's courageous to admit when you're scared. It's okay to be scared sort of message. I did like that. Because that's something else they kind of shoehorned in and it went fucking nowhere. He has siblings.
Yeah, like whenever, I kind of felt like that. Yeah, it was just like one little short scene when he was a kid, when he got breakfast for school, and somehow his brothers, who looked like they're close to his age, didn't go to school with him, which kind of doesn't make sense. Yeah, and then later, as after his accident, whenever they were berating him and everything, it was like, oh, okay, and then you don't hear from him again.
Literally, he has two brothers, Jim and Jack, apparently. I'm not too entirely sure if they're in the comic, I don't know. And then his mum doesn't even have a name, by the way, according to the character list, the cast list. His mum is literally just called Mum. Just for
On
sake.
IMDb, it looks like it says Janice Jordan, but
Okay.
it doesn't have a picture with the actress, so I can't really say that that's not a different character whose last name is Jordan. But then again, IMDb is not always the best.
Yeah, actress is Tiffany Morgan. And
okay, this says Leanne Cochran, so
they both give him a bollocking after he does his little stunt, which, by the way, I actually thought was quite genius, his little stunt, because he even says, I showed you guys what the Sabres can't do. And I'm like, hey, he's got a fair point. Just say it. Don't, like, what are you hassling him for? But still, the kid that he talks to as well, that was completely forced in. They just wanted him to say what his dad used to say. That's all they wanted to do, is have him in the same sort of like, this false idea of what his dad, that he's never fearless or anything.
Which doesn't technically make sense, because if the ring hears that, and that's what made him pick Hal. But if his heart wasn't in that spot whenever he was saying it, he was just saying it out, pulling it out of his butt because his dad would say it. The ring should have known that.
Yeah, but they gave us some bullshit there, if you remember, because the fishy alien-looking dude, which I still can't remember his name, he says to Hal, the ring chose you because it saw something in you, even if you can't see it yourself.
Yeah.
So they used that. They used that.
Anybody in the whole wide world,
Yeah. There you go. But, Jason. Yeah. Jason Jordan is the little kid that Hal talks to, and like he turns up. It's this kid's birthday party, and Hal turns up, gives him a present, which I thought was still kind of cool. And then they have this conversation. I'm like, whoa, hang on a minute. Where did this come from? I'm so confused. But yeah, I don't know. It's just there's a few things that like happened and then was never mentioned again. Felt a little left, a little bit left out. Parallax is played by is it Clancy Brown that plays Parallax?
I don't even see it on the IMDb.
Let me have a look. I want to say it's Clancy Brown, but that might just be me.
I don't even know who Clancy Brown is.
Oh Jesus Christ! What the fuck's Clancy Brown been in? He's a voice actor for the most part. He's in a lot of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Maybe I do.
He's in some SpongeBob stuff, I know that for sure. He's been in The Penguin, I think. He's in Invincible. Clancy Brown's been in like quite a few things. To be fair, he's mostly known for his voice acting.
Taika Waititi movies. He was in Ragnarok. He was a voice in that one.
Yes.
Oh, he's Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Is he?
Could have led with that one. Yeah. Oh, he's Salvatore Moroni at the Penguin Show.
That's who he played. I completely forgot who he played in Penguin. Oh yeah, his Parallax isn't listed on IMDb.
Yeah, like the character's not on there, so like, but looking to see if it's on his. Yeah, it is on his IMDb. It's showing Parallax for Green Lantern, but
okay, so I was right. He is Parallax.
Not,
okay,
yeah, Parallax is just not on the cast list here for Green Lantern, which is weird because he's the villain. So
yeah, he's like the big bad, and they forgot to add him. Do you think
here
he
it is.
paid someone?
Never mind, he's on there, and I just guess I overlooked him. He's on there. He's just further down, like almost towards the bottom of the call sheet here, which is weird. You would think he'd be towards the top, but you know.
Fair enough. But yeah, again, interesting casting choices.
Mm-hmm. I think this is Ryan Reynolds. This is after he did Wolverine, right? When he did the first Deadpool.
I
think
okay. No, this isn't before. No, Deadpool was after Green Lantern, but the Deadpool in the
Deadpool.
Wolverine,
yeah,
the Deadpool in X-Men Origins. I believe that X-Men Origins came first. Hang on, I'm just gonna Google when this film movie came out. X-Men Origins was 2009. Green Lantern was 2011.
Okay. So this was his third comic book character he played.
Yes.
Wow. Actually watched. Maybe we can do an episode on Blade Trinity because I don't think that's as bad as people say, but anywho.
But yeah, the honestly, overall, it's not a terrible movie. It's I wouldn't say I completely understand where the hate coming from. I'm a bit confused on why everyone needs to bitch and moan. I like I said, there is some glaring issues. CGI wise, the masks more than anything else, that is really off putting. Some of the story points are kind of hit and miss. He has two brothers and a mum. We see them once, we never see them again. And it's not even once, it's literally less than 5 minutes. So, you don't even really get to see them. The mum isn't like fully even named properly. Things like this. It feels like they tried to please Green Lantern fans a bit too much because we had Oa, the Guardians, Kilowog, Sinestro, Parallax, all of this Green Lantern lore shoved down your throats. And the funny thing is, because they wanted to tell their own story, the Green Lantern lore got pushed to one side.
Yeah, pretty much. I think maybe they were like afraid, well, maybe it won't get a sequel, or we want it to get a sequel, or something, so let's just put as much of whatever as possible, and I think that probably hurt it a little bit more. If they would have made this a little more grounded, I know they didn't want it to make it too grounded and wait too long for him to become the Green Lantern. But I think they were just either rushed or wanted to put more in that was needed just because they want to just put it all in there, everything in the kitchen sink plus the kitchen sink. But I think it was a detriment to the story. But that seems to be on par for Warner Brothers when it comes to DC movies, because they kind of been doing that a lot. Because they get scared of Marvel and then just put too much into their crap, so they can get to the point and catch up. But yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing when it comes to having these two kind of like separate ideas. When he first, gets thrown into space, when he first, I think he leaves. Yeah, when he first finds the ring, it happens so sudden. There's no like build up to it, and it just throws you out of whack. It's like just a spontaneous burst of green energy and all this bollocks. I don't know. Warner Brothers need to give up on DC, honestly, to be fair, because it's not just movies they're affecting.
I hear that their cartoons are going downhill. Like, they used to be like the number one go-to for the cartoon superhero movies, and I feel like, I mean, I've heard, I haven't really watched a lot lately, but I know in the past they've been really good, and I heard the quality of those are going down.
So with the animated movies, some of my favorite DC projects are actually animated, and animated movies. Over the years, we've had some fucking fantastic animated movies when it comes to Justice League and DC characters, and there's also video games as well. We've kind of lost the ability to have. We've kind of lost the ability to have DC games, other than Batman, which is annoying because we've already had.
Do everything live service, so
yeah, that they can fuck off with that too. Okay, so we're gonna do what we did last time, where we're gonna end this with me giving you something, and you gotta rate the Green Lantern via this little ranking system we have.
Okay.
So 5 is, fucking phenomenal, top dog, all that stuff. 1 is absolutely diabolically shit. Where would you put the plot?
The plot is probably overall the best part of it, even though it's convoluted a little bit here and there. But then again, the plot is the plot, and it's the whatever. So I would probably do, as you said, scale to 5.
Yes.
I would probably do 4 for the plot.
I went with 3, so we're almost on par with that one. Characters. So this is character development, characters in general, character arcs, all that, or just characters in general, all that stuff.
Close, but I think a little bit under. So I would probably go with 3 on that. I think the characters were great. It's just there was just not enough time and effort put into making it as good as it could be.
So I had the same reasoning as you, not enough time or effort, but I went with a 2. So far we're almost aligned. I'm just a little bit below you on ranking so far. Okay, visuals. So this is like how it looks, CGI, take everything into account visual-wise.
So even looking at this being 2011, I honestly feel like with this movies nowadays, it's really on par with the special effects. So I would probably put that as a 3 as well.
Oh, we actually have one exactly the same. I said 3 for visuals.
Well, hey.
Yes, bro, that's awesome. And then overall entertainment. How entertained were you by watching this film?
Well, again, I fell asleep, but that wasn't because of the thing. I was just tired, and I was laying in bed watching the whole movie from start to finish. I'm old, and that happens. But
excuses, Benjamin. Excuses.
It is excuses. I was talking to somebody at work today, and he was like, "Well, I told you to get with me the next day, and you didn't." But blah blah blah. I'm like, "Well, I'm a forgetful person. I know that's not an excuse. It's not an excuse, but it's just whatever. So I would probably put that back and just keep that as a 3. Like it was entertaining enough. There wasn't anything. Yeah, it wasn't boring. Um, even with the whatchamacallit, whenever the parts of the movies where they just explain stuff. What is that called again? Um, but anywho, you know what I'm saying. Um, it really wasn't that boring, even when they were, yeah. So I would put that as a 3 as well.
Oh damn, we've got 2 for 2. Because my entertainment I also put down as a 3.
Okay.
I wasn't bored. I wasn't bored by the movie, but I didn't leave this film like ecstatically entertained.
Like it's
It
not
was funny.
boring. It's a little forgettable, but it's not boring per se. It's just one of those you watch once, you're like, okay, that was all right, and then you're okay with never seeing it again.
But I also feel like if it was on the TV, if you're in the room
Yeah.
and someone's gone, "Hey, I'm watching the Green Lantern. Do you wanna hang out and sit and chat with me?" It's something you're not gonna cringe at or go, "Nah, you can fuck right off." It's just
Yeah.
all right, okay, cool. Green Lantern movies on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, okay then. Well, we've dived into some dumpsters and we've talked about Green Lantern, which honestly, like I said at the beginning, I was going at this low expectation, and I was actually pretty surprised. I'm not
Hey,
in love with this film,
no.
but it entertained me more than I remember.
Yeah. And I didn't think it was that bad when I first saw it. When I first saw it, actually, I was deployed, and there was a website they let us get on that actually had like pirated movies and stuff like that. And some of it was like movies on theaters, and that's how I saw it. So I saw it on my computer screen in my dorm, but it really wasn't. It wasn't that bad. Which that's what makes you feel old when you said you were like 13, and I'm like, I was. My daughter was 1 years old, and I was, already over, almost, when was this? Yeah, 7 years out of high school, or 8 years out of high school. Yeah, 7 years out of high school, and I'm like, man, I'm old.
I'm just hanging out with a bunch of granddads at this point.
No, well, that's what the Zeo de Hero. Well, I think we're all in our, yeah, 30,
Yeah,
mid 30s, 40s. So
I'm definitely one of the younger ones, I know for sure.
yeah,
I know in our dad group chat on Facebook, I'm the youngest one. I know for
you
sure.
probably are. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
probably the
I'm
shortest,
the.
but you're probably the youngest.
No, I don't think I'm the shortest
No, I'm the
because.
shortest. I'm the shortest.
Okay, okay.
And I know I
Because
don't ever message
I've
on there.
I've met Mark in person, and Mark literally, when I say just overtowers me, I mean I don't even have to go on tippy toes to be the same height as him. All I got to do is stand up completely straight.
Yeah.
Match his height. Like if I just stand normal, he is just slightly over me. But then if I stand like completely so I am now one vertical line, and then now we're the same height.
Well,
And he's
I'm
like
5'6",
6 foot, so
so
I'm 5'11" and a half, technically.
yeah. Yeah, well, according to the military, I was 5'7" because I was able to like stretch my neck out because I was too fat and I was 5 pounds away from not being able to get in. And so I was able to stretch it up to 5'7", so that way I could be 180 and join because that was the max you could be at that height. So, but I'm technically 5'5.5", but I think with enough chiropractor work, I might be able to get to 5'6" totally.
Enough chiropractor work. Oh, that is great. That's actually funny. I like that.
I slouch, so
Anyway,
I'm blaming that.
yeah, I slouch a lot too, to be fair. Anyway, thank you everyone for diving into another installment to Movie Dumpster Dive. I promise it won't be as long between episodes. Me and Ben have been rather busy personally, so we'll make sure that the next one isn't as, dragged on between this episode to the next one. And
Yes.
with that being said, of course, thank you everyone for tuning in on the podcast platforms. If you're on the podcast platform, thank you for rating us or whatever the fuck that works. I still don't know. And if you're on the YouTube channel side of things, of course, subscribe to the channel, and I appreciate everybody. I love you all. We're of passion, and we shall see you guys next time when we dive into more Movie Dumpster Dive.
What you have just listened to is a product created by the Three Ranger Bros Studio.
Hosted by three cosplaying fathers who
happen to be massive geeks of all sorts of fandoms.
They are Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger,
Cosplay Dude 637,
and Ty Tiger.
The studio covers different types of YouTube videos, TikToks, podcasts, and live streams.
If you wish to find out who cosplays who, the YouTube channels, the TikTok accounts, and the podcasts, and all of the other social media platforms,
please go to the 3rangerbrostudios.com.